everyone. So, yet again, we have the wonderful Aaron joining us. He has asked me so many good questions regarding souls and things that are about are they kind of watching over us, not just to give us advice and protection, but to also see how we're doing and are they maybe judging us and wondering like when we are going to get it right. So, the theme for today is are our souls judging us? And he asked me so many good questions that I actually have never received before. I have not thought of before, and I don't know the answers to, which means not only are we going to discuss this very interesting topic, I'm going to have to do some soul channeling and spirit realm, spirit team, spirit friend channeling because I do not know the answer. And there's only one way I'm going to be able to get it. So I suspect I might also have Aaron in the hot seat and have him do some soul channeling too. Yeah, I didn't mention that to him before. And we were actually talking about this just a few minutes ago. He joined us for the Soul Empowering Hypnosis SEH group hypnosis membership yesterday. It's a monthly group hypnosis session that I facilitate live online every single month. And he was mentioning that he really enjoyed it. And I wanted to bring that up, the group event yesterday as well, because he did some really good channeling, connecting when he was working with some of the other group hypnosis members. And so he's very skilled. And I think that even though I'm technically the expert in hypnosis, he is an expert in connecting as well. So Aaron, it won't just be me channeling. I'm going to have you do it too. Does that sound good?
I'll do it.
I know
And
you will. You're
yesterday
such a
was
good
amazing.
sport.
That was an amazing experience yesterday.
How are you feeling as a result of the group session?
It it felt amazingly good. It felt like it was uh just some things opening up and some things not really looked at enough. And then just the whole process of the group hypnosis and the things uncovered during that process, it was amazing. I would definitely anyone that's considering it, I would definitely recommend doing it because it's a great experience. It really
Thank
is.
you. I really appreciate it. And then also, if anybody missed yesterday and they're like, oh, rats, I missed it. You did, but you also didn't. Because even if you have not been able to attend the live sessions, or maybe you want to sign up for the group hypnosis membership, but you're like, I can't be available at that time on Sunday, it's okay because they're all recorded. And if you're a member, you have access to all of the recordings. So you've got access to the entire library, the entire catalog of all the sessions that we've ever had. And you're wondering if it's a good fit for you, if you go to my website, CourtneyStarkey.com, and you go to the group hypnosis membership tab, at the very top, there's an option to download one of the group hypnosis recordings. And people really love that one. It's the diamond timeline shift. And so you can access that for free, try it out, see if you like it. And then you'll know, oh, this really is wonderful and I would like to participate in it. So that's something that, that is available to you at any time. And then you can join us. We have a live online group hypnosis session every second Sunday of the month. So it's something where we're meeting regularly. And that way you can treat yourself every single month to a group hypnosis session. Okay. Anyway,
Now, do you
so
always do the
mhm,
psychometry exercise also
yeah, yeah.
every time?
Mhm.
That was really interesting as well. And that's I look at that as a bonus beyond the the hypnosis portion because it's taking part of a different skill and a skill that a lot of people don't even realize that they can actually take advantage of.
Yeah, it's interesting. Psychometry is very polarizing. And what I mean by that is there are those who have tried it and love it and swear by it. And then there are those who are nervous about it and they always log off right before the psychometry starts.
Really?
And they're, yeah, yeah, yeah. Here's why. And for those who are listening and they're like, what's psychometry? Psychometry is when you exchange, oh gosh, let me give a better description of this. I learned about psychometry from Brian Weiss. I was at his group hypnosis event in person. And so, what I'm going to describe to you, I'm going to describe it as though you're doing it in person. Here's the thing, I figured out how to do it online. So, you don't have to be in person to be able to experience this magic. So, what psychometry is again, remember or pretend that you are in person. You're in a brick and mortar. I'm really tongue tied today. I almost took a nap earlier and didn't, and I think that maybe I should have. Anyway, bear with me, everybody. I'm trying my best. Okay, so you are in a brick and mortar environment, and you've got a partner that you have been paired with. So, I always give this example. What you're going to do in psychometry is you're going to exchange an object that has a lot of your energy tied to it. So I always give this example of I would not provide this chapstick to my partner, even though it's been on my person for a couple of weeks. It's not nearly carrying as much energy as my bracelet that I have worn almost every day since 2006. This has a ton of my energy in it, right? And so again, pretend that you're in person and you're with your partner and you give your partner your object that has a lot of your energy in it. You place it in the palm of their left hand, and then they are able to receive on your behalf a lot of information for you. And so it's just like you would experience in a hypnosis session where maybe the information that's coming in uh, for your partner through their object. It could be visual information, it could be emotional, it could be physical sensations, it could just be words, answers, it could be all of those same type of information that comes in during hypnosis sessions. But what's amazing about psychometry is it's not for you. It is for your partner. What makes that so special is that it forces you to really honor everything that is coming in during the psychometry exercise, because what may seem nonsensical or half-baked or trivial to you might be really, really, really important to your partner. And so you have to honor it. You can't dismiss it. You can't push it aside. You also can't go, oh, I'm probably making that up, right? You can't be making it up because you don't know anything about this partner. That's the other key thing, is that you are to partner with people who are strangers. Like if you had a mother and daughter and they were partnering, that wouldn't make any sense, because they're going to know so much information about each other that if something came up about a childhood memory, for example, that wouldn't really be very, I shouldn't say it that way. It wouldn't be that surprising. It wouldn't be that awe-inspiring if they had the same memory. Now, if a stranger comes up with information that only you know about your childhood, that is very validating for both of you, right? So that's why it's important to partner with a stranger. Now, I just mentioned a physical object being placed in the palm of your hand. I learned from facilitating group hypnosis sessions in person that my members absolutely love the psychometry exercise. So when I moved everything to online, I was lamenting that I wouldn't be able to do psychometry anymore with my members. But then I remembered, oh, I'm the girl that's constantly saying anything is possible. Maybe I should follow my own advice. Right? And so, luckily, as I was starting my online group hypnosis membership, I was also still in my PhD program, and my PhD program is online. And so I had a meeting with a few of my fellow students, and I said to them, and they're all like hippy dippy, spiritual, very open to all of this. And so I said to them during this online meeting, where it was just the students, the professors weren't there, anything like that. And I was saying to them, hey, I have this idea. I want to be able to do this psychometry for my online group hypnosis members. Can you guys try this psychometry exercise so I can see if it works for you guys? And then if it does, I know that it's viable to take to my membership. Here's what's amazing. None of them had ever done, my classmates, none of them had ever done hypnosis before. So they certainly had never done psychometry before. So it's not like these people were experts or even experienced in the slightest in psychometry or hypnosis. It still worked for them. They did it successfully. And so that's when I was like, oh, cool. This is all energy, right? We do not have to be sitting down next to each other in order to exchange energy, including through physical objects. So Aaron came to the group hypnosis event yesterday. We did psychometry at the end, which we always do, again, because people love it so much, because it is so validating, and it's very confidence building, because people keep getting it right. Like Aaron got this very specific phrase for one of the people he was partnered with, and she was like, and it is not a common phrase. Like, let's just put it that way.
Definitely not.
Not a common phrase. And he kept getting this phrase on her behalf. And she was like, I say that phrase all the time. And so I was just thinking like, you guys are so amazing. And so I'm glad that Aaron brought that up. Yes, that is something that we do every time. And as I was mentioning earlier, it is polarizing because if you're brave enough to try it, you love it. You fall in love with it. But a lot of people get nervous and they're afraid they're going to get it wrong. And then they always have this reason to like get off the meeting before they start. It's like, I'm like, just try it. You're going to nail it. So if you guys sign up for the group hypnosis membership, be brave, stick around for the psychometry. You will not be disappointed. I've only ever seen one time where the person was really off about what they were getting. And it's very funny because they were not actually off at all. They just thought they were at first. I've told this story on one of these lives before, but I love it. I think it's very funny. So I'll just say it again very quickly. So again, this was an in-person event back in the day, several years ago. And at the end of the event, you've got a lot of people who come up to you, tell you about their experiences. And so I had these two people come up, and it was a guy and a girl. And the girl says to me, she was like, I know, Courtney, that you say psychometry is so validating and you're going to get it right and be brave and enjoy the experience. But man, I was just getting everything wrong for him. And again, these are strangers, right? And so I was like, that's weird. Like, this never happens. And so then as I'm talking to them more, I'm like, well, what was the object? And he says, oh, it's this object. And what this gentleman had done was he had been carrying around in his pocket a rock, a crystal, that its intention is to absorb the energy of other people so you're not absorbing their energy. So he uses this stone, he wears this stone in his pocket to protect himself so that he's not taking on other people's energy. The stone is. And so I'm like, man, why would you pick that object? because this girl's never going to get anything right, even though she's getting everything right. She's not getting information for him from this stone. This stone is picking up all of these strangers' information, and he wasn't thinking it through. He just thought, oh, Courtney said exchange an object that spends a lot of time with you. And I'm like, yeah, except for if the intention of the object is to take in all of these strangers' energy and information, like she's never going to be able to get any validation other than, oh, ... we just found out why she got it wrong. So she also nailed it. So yeah, that's one of my favorite stories. Another favorite story is sometimes people get a little confused and they think that they are permanently handing over the object. And so again, in person, I had this woman and she was like, I don't know what to exchange. And everybody was like, exchange your watch. And she goes, but it's my only one. I was like, lady, you get your watch back. I mean, what was she thinking when she was seeing people take off their engagement rings? Like, what did she think that people were doing? Like, okay, like we're just here for some hypnosis and upgrading our jewelry. I don't know. So anyway, so yeah, the group hypnosis is really, really fun in person, but it's also equally fun online. And I'm so glad that Aaron got to join us yesterday. And for those who are logging on and hearing the tail end of this story, just go to CourtneyStarkey.com. And I actually just earlier this morning put up the schedule for all of 2025. So you guys will know what to put in your calendar for joining all of the monthly live online group hypnosis sessions. But again, if you can't attend live, not a big deal. You've got access to all of the recordings for the entirety of your membership. Okay, Aaron, anything else you want to say or ask about our group hypnosis experience or psychometry experience yesterday?
So I just want to note one other thing as far as the psychometry experience. For anyone that has ambivalence towards doing that because they have fear of getting it wrong, that is a perfect environment for doing that because you're sitting with one person. You're not doing it in front of everyone. You're just sitting in front of one person. If you get it wrong, it's just you and that person. But the odds are, whatever you give them, it's probably right. Just like Courtney said, it just may be from a different perspective. So don't have fear of doing it is the bottom line here. And don't let that be a reason to run or to not participate in those sessions because it's amazing. It really is.
And then people who might not be as familiar with Zoom, the way that we structure it is you guys are able to go into breakout rooms. So when Aaron is saying you're not doing this in front of everyone, he really means it. So what you can do in Zoom, even though everybody is in this main room, in this main meeting, I have the ability to create breakout rooms so that you and your partner go in there by yourselves and nobody else can hear or see anything that you guys are talking about. And it's really beautiful too, because here's the other thing: the person who is receiving information might have an object where they're like, well, what if this object like says stuff that I don't want a bunch of people to know? Of course, that would never happen. I shouldn't say never. Of course, that's very unlikely to happen. But even if it did, it's still just the two of you. So it's a very safe, very private experience. And then that way, when you guys come back from the breakout room into the main room, you can share whatever you want to share. And I always say, just be really respectful, like share your own information as opposed to your partner's information once you're back in the main room. And then the other thing that's really great is that the members, and Aaron got to experience this yesterday, the members are so nice. Like
Yes, definitely.
they're kind, they're open-hearted, they're friendly, they're funny. They are also very vulnerable in the way that they share. Like they're very open and authentic, and it allows everybody else to just be themselves. And I feel like it is so rare for us to really just be able to be ourselves, especially in a group setting. And this is one of those places where you can actually do that, and you have an opportunity to be able to consistently, at least once per month, do that with people who are like really, really cool and interesting. Okay, speaking of cool and interesting. So Aaron gave me a bunch of questions that I've never thought about before. And so, because I don't know the answers myself, we're going to have to do some soul channeling to find out what the answers are. And the overall theme is, do our souls judge us? And I'll give you an example of one of the questions that he sent in where I was just laughing. I was like, I have no idea. So he asked, where is that? I want to see the one where you said screwing things up. Although I think I maybe edited it. Oh yeah, no, I wrote it. Okay. So he asked, are souls ever sitting around watching and discussing us, possibly pointing out some soul's person is screwing it up for everyone else? And I'm like, I mean, maybe. I don't know. Like, I assume that they're not, but what do I know? They might just be sitting there going like, ay, 57th lifetime in a row, and this one's still messing it up. I don't know. And then one thing that I want to make sure that I say is, so my style of hypnosis, right, is soul empowering hypnosis. And I really mean that, but it's also client empowering. So it's also the person who is experiencing the session and connecting them with their soul and spirit guides. It's empowering to the client as well. And I feel like it is so tempting for all of us really to outsource our power in some way or another. And what I mean by that is, we have, a lot of us, including myself on occasion, we have a tendency to always think that somebody knows better than us, right? Like we're very humble. And the reason I say this is, I think sometimes the person, the client, maybe doesn't give themselves enough credit, and they defer maybe a little too much to, well, what does the soul think? What do the spirit guides think? And I'm like, hey, should you be respectful of them? Yeah, of course. Should you honor and listen to them? Yeah, of course. But don't sell yourself short. You are an equally valuable member of the team. I would say you're the most valuable member of the
Mhm.
team. You're the one on earth getting your hands dirty and having to deal with the emotions and the period cramps and the stubbed toe and the broken heart, and that, you know what I mean? Like, you're the one who's having to do all of the dirty work, and you are amazing. Now, a lot of times we cover up our amazing because we're told to behave small, think small, be small. Do not play small whenever you're having your hypnosis sessions. Yes, of course, be respectful and reverent, etc., but do not discount how amazing you are as well. Like, you're an equally valuable member of the team. Aaron, I don't think I've said that before in one of the lives, but I think it's really important. What do you think about that?
I definitely agree because, like you said, a lot of times people give away their power. Part of being living this experience is living the experience. If you were going to listen to everything 100% that your soul said, there will be no point in living the experience because there's nothing to be gained.
Mhm.
And the soul is here to help you gain the experience. And once again, if they're telling you everything, you're not gaining anything, and it's a minimal gain. And the soul wants you to get the maximum gain because that's what we're all here for.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Oh, and then also the soul has a lot of trust and faith in you as well. I think that's another reason they don't tell us everything. They want us to be like, I remember one time I was receiving a hypnosis session and my soul, my team, um, yeah, I was asking a question and they were giving me just part of the answer. And then I said to my hypnotherapist, I said, well, they're not giving me the entire answer because they like to surprise me. And then my team said, that's not exactly it. You like to be surprised. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, right. Like it is fun to have those moments where you're like, what? Like that's amazing. And so, yeah. So if we knew the spoiler alert to like, or the spoiler, to everything, it wouldn't be as interesting. So, okay. All right, Aaron. Speaking of interesting and surprises, I really don't know what these answers are going to be. Okay, so guys, here's the first question
Did
that
you go
Aaron
on
asked.
IG? Are you going on IG?
Yeah, I already did it. I just didn't
You did?
announce it.
Okay.
I'm getting smoother with these
Okay.
presentations. And so whenever you talk, I discreetly go over and I click the
Okay.
the live button. Yeah, I can be discreet. It's rare, but it happens. So, okay. But yeah, I used to announce it because I thought that whenever I plugged or like got them logged in, I thought they were hearing that for the very first time. And I'm realizing now that the way that all of this functions is that Restream is recording all of it. So when I upload the recording, Instagram is getting it from the very beginning, not just from when I plug them in. So yeah, so I stopped making the announcement about it. Okay. All right. So Aaron has this great question. He says, does the soul feel angst when someone ignores signs and paths? And so that's a really interesting question because maybe the soul feels something and maybe it is angst, but maybe it's a different emotion. So I'm wondering about that. Aaron, do you have any suspicion before we like connect in and ask?
No, not really.
I
Not really.
know. I'm like, I have no clue. A lot of times I have some sort of inkling. For this one, I'm just like, it's all Courtney thoughts. Like, it's all like, I doubt they feel angst, but what do I know? I mean, you ready? Let's just drop in and ask. Okay. All right. I'm gonna be quiet until I have something to say. Oh, okay. Okay. I got my answer. Let me know when you have yours.
Yeah.
You have your answer? Your answer is yes.
No, I have an answer. I have an answer.
What's your answer? Or what's their answer? And who are you talking to? That should be another thing that like who are you connecting in with?
Um, I actually I'm not precisely sure. It's an attempt to connect to the soul. I believe it's my soul.
Do you want to ask? I'm gonna ask and double check on mine too.
Okay.
Okay, I got mine.
Yeah, it's my soul.
Okay, so what's your soul's answer?
That it's there is no angst because there's no emotion involved, but it's a logical lack of progression.
What do you mean by logical?
That when the things aren't going the way the soul had planned when this life was taken on, there's no progression. So
Okay.
there's no emotion, but it's a look at it and saying, okay, well, we haven't progressed. We're going to have to progress in this manner later.
And do they classify that feeling that emotion about it as angst, or that's the end of my
But there
question?
is no emotion.
Oh, I thought I heard you say earlier that they do feel angst. Or okay, I'm sorry. My bad. My team said they do.
No, no.
Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. And this is the thing, guys. I want to be really clear. just because Aaron and I are accessing soul information doesn't mean that our souls are going to agree or give the same answers. Like, I think that everything is so unique and specific to the team, the person, the lifetime, the purpose, the mission. And so I asked my team and they said, yeah, we do. And I was like, okay, great. So I think while they do have logic, just like Aaron is saying, yeah, they're just saying like, we really care about this one. Like,
But
okay.
how do you define that logic? I mean, I'm sorry. How do you define that emotion? Is it emotion like we would look at emotions, or is it a soul type of emotion?
Okay, that's a great follow-up question. So they said that it's more like we would look at emotion because what they're trying to do is imagine that they speak a language and I speak a language. And they are trying to figure out like a Spanglishy way to get what they need to get across to me in a way that I will understand it. And because I operate pretty well within the language of emotion, they're going to utilize emotion as a way to. So for example, some people are much more logical, intellectual, mathematical, etc., right? You got those engineering minds. While I love logic, intellect, academia, etc., I really, really operate a lot in the experience of emotion. So they're going to utilize that because it's a key that can unlock me easier. Does that make sense? Was that
But
logical?
but that's putting it at your level,
Yeah.
if
Well,
I'm
they want me to
understanding you correctly.
understand it. They want me to understand it. My ability to go straight to their level would probably be a bridge too far. Yeah, confirmed.
So so are you saying we couldn't understand what that emotion is?
I'm not saying couldn't.
Or that we're not to the level where we could understand how that emotion would be conveyed by the soul?
Too vague. I don't understand that question.
That it's beyond our how those emotions are manifested? Are they beyond our understanding at this point?
I'm not following it.
Um, I don't know how else to put it. So
So
it
many
almost
words that need a little bit more detail. So just go through it one more time, and I'm going to stop you at each word because there's so many different ways I can interpret this.
it's why well, let me clarify, make sure I'm understanding correctly. It sounds as if you're saying that they're putting it in terms for Courtney to understand.
I don't know if I would go with terms, but yeah, just a way of communication, a way of understanding. Yeah.
Okay, so that way of understanding, it's connected to what we would call emotions, but is it? I, I guess I would say a soul emotion, which is different from a human emotion.
It doesn't seem like it's a soul emotion. It seems like the soul's utilizing emotions that will activate me. And so that's the other thing. I don't think that they're necessarily looking for me to understand. They're looking for me to take action. Like I can understand all day long and not do anything about it. So it's really about inspiring action.
Okay, so then that would be between you and the soul.
What do you mean by between me and I'm really not trying to be
It's
difficult. I'm just trying to make sure I
uh,
definitely
that the soul will convey an emotion to this to we'll take you and your soul.
Mhm.
Your soul will convey emotion to you, Courtney, in order to get a response.
Yeah.
Okay, now what about one soul to another soul? Will those souls work
No.
in that manner at all?
I just heard no, we don't do that.
Okay, because that was more the perspective I was thinking of the question in.
Okay.
The souls having a emotion with in regards to with other souls and an emotion with what you're doing because everything that you do is connected to your soul and it's connected to that soul family.
Yeah, no, they don't do that. That's what they said. Which is interesting
Okay.
because that was an extremely long way around, which I appreciate. You hung in there. That was an extremely long way around to we actually have the same answer. It's just that I was interpreting, or I don't know that I was interpreting it a different way, but they were just answering it in a way that needed to be answered. And so it sounds like, because I'm imagining them sitting on a couch eating popcorn and like watching us like as their entertainment. I'm just amusing myself with this thought. You know what I mean? And so no, I don't think that they're sitting up there feeling those types of emotions, particularly not feeling angst collectively together. But I do find that because this is brand new to me, I've never asked these questions, I've never learned this information, that they don't necessarily feel emotions like that, but they will send us that the feeling of that emotion, if that will help to activate us.
And that's also what I envision. I envision if you're doing something that's totally contrary to what the soul was working towards, my vision is the soul saying no as you're doing the wrong thing for the 10th time.
Yeah. Yeah, this is actually really, really informative for me because I've been a client for nearly 12 years. I've been a practitioner for more than 10 years. And I have actually for a long time wondered what is the deal with souls that get frustrated. Like it's very rare, but sometimes I will have clients that their souls will really get frustrated with them while they're having a session with me. And the soul will say, like, yeah, they're not listening. Yeah, I tell them and they're not doing it. And that's actually, if there's ever a frustration theme, that's it. That they tell us to do stuff, ask us to do stuff, inspire us, give us sign after sign, give us message after message, and we don't take action on it. So I would say 95% of the gripes that come from the spirit realm are exactly that they want us to do the thing and we're not doing it. And so I've always wondered what is going on with their frustration because I assume that they should be above that type of feeling. And so this conversation right now is answering a lot for me where it's like, oh, they are above that type of feeling, but they will still utilize that feeling in order to try to inspire us to do the thing that they would really like for us to do. And as you were saying earlier, why would they like for us to do it? It's because they want us to make progress, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. All right, cool. That's new information that I can use for the rest of my life because, yeah, clients are going to really appreciate knowing that. My students are going to appreciate knowing that. Thanks, Aaron. It's really good.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm surprised that you haven't encountered that.
Well, here's the thing. People think that I'm supposed to know everything. I don't think of all these questions. Like, in my downtime, I actually try to not do this stuff in my downtime. Like I do jigsaw
Mm-hmm.
puzzles and I take nature walks and I try to balance my life. And if I just did, like, I remember one of my students after I got divorced, she was like, I hope a spiritual man comes your way. And I was like, it doesn't need to be spiritual. Like, I need a break from that on occasion. Like, I would like somebody who just wants to go hiking. Like, that's what I'm looking for. So yeah, so I actually don't think about this stuff a lot outside of sessions until I'm prompted to. And I'm really grateful because, yeah, that's very good information to know. Okay. Yeah, can you imagine? Wait, Aaron, are you just spiritual all the time? Like you're just insatiable about it?
I'm amassing information and knowledge, but
Okay.
I'm a whole person.
Yeah. How long have you been spiritual? Like how long have you been on the path?
It's been a bit over 4 years.
Okay.
Serious.
Yeah. I started in 2008 and I'm like, like I need a break
and
sometimes.
and you have to have balance. We're not meant to be here and just live just a spiritual existence and not be grounded and do other things. We're
Yeah.
still supposed to be grounded people, and a
Yeah,
lot of
no.
times people forget that, and those are the people that are off floating off in the clouds that aren't grounded at all.
Yeah. That was an interesting conversation that happened during the group hypnosis membership yesterday as well, which is we've got a lot of grounded people who are trying to connect up. And I feel like I'm kind of the opposite, where I, for the longest time, felt like I was just barely tethered to the planet. I'm like, no, like I need to be here more because I need to be able to bridge better instead of just being airy fairy, like up here all the time. So I'm actually really enjoying like being much more like in the earth and in the body, and like it's pleasant. I'm 45, like, it's high time. Like, gotta do it. So okay. All right. So we handled the does the soul feel angst when someone ignores the signs and the paths? Yeah, because or they don't feel it, but they will have us feel that they're feeling it in order to prompt us to move forward because they do like progress. All right, cool. We got a check mark there. Aaron, any other follow-up questions about that? And then also, guys, I think somebody wrote and I didn't have my chat open. Let's see if anybody wrote. Where did it go? Come back. Oh, got a wink face. Then, oh, hey, there are comments in here. Hi, guys. Sorry, I missed the comments earlier. Okay, so they've been thinking about it. This is cool. Oh, good. Okay, awesome. Thanks, guys. I'm glad that was really helpful. And I can see your comments now. Okay, all right. So then Aaron asked, and I mentioned this earlier, and we'll see if there's anything else we need to elaborate on here. So Aaron also asked, are souls ever sitting? And by the way, guys, you can type in your questions since I bothered to pull up the chat and I can see it now. Are souls ever sitting around watching and discussing us, possibly pointing out that somebody else is screwing it up? I would say we can check in. I would say they're not necessarily doing something that judgmental, but I think they probably are observing us and assessing how things are going. Should we check?
I think it's a constant assessment because that's the whole purpose.
Well, okay, hold on. Let's see. What are you going to check?
Okay.
Yeah, let's check. I need to ask follow-up questions. Hold on. To my team. All right, let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
What'd you get?
That they're constantly discussing. Of course, they're constantly watching. They're constantly discussing, and in communication, and they're always working on contingencies because of free will and the fact that sometimes the person may listen and sometimes they may not, and sometimes it may take 10 years for the person to listen. So there's always contingencies.
I think this is really interesting that we're getting opposite answers.
Wow.
last time it was opposite, but then we found out it was actually the same. I got no, we're not watching that often. I was like, that's why I wanted to ask follow-up questions. I'm like, what? Why? And they were like, we have other things that we're doing. And I'm like, what? Like, pay attention to me. And they were like, you can do a lot of this on your own. You don't really need us to be that observant all the time. I'm just like, yeah, it definitely feels like you guys just sort of go like, handle it, Courtney. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll just handle it by myself.
I will say my perspective of asking that question isn't of watching 100% of the time, but just being aware of what's going on. So I think I may have posed it a little bit differently.
No, they were still like, yeah, we're not monitoring it, really. Yeah. Yeah, I think, okay, here's what I think is going on. Aaron, ask your team real quick. On a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being there like really tightly with you all the time right now, where 1 being like, they're like, nope, Aaron, go do your thing. Where are they with you right now on a scale from 1 to 10?
I'm getting that it varies. It varies depending on milestones.
Ask them about the last 4 years. What's the average?
For me specifically?
Mm-hmm.
I got laughter because there's so many things that I've been told to do for so many years before awakening, and so many things that I'm supposed to do now that I have not done. But they're basically paying attention because of where I am and what I'm growing into. But as far as number, uh, the numbers in the which is high, they're saying it's high, but it's a 5-ish range right
Okay,
now.
yeah. Yeah, I figured your team is probably just a little more actively with you right now because remember, 4 years is really different than 16 years. I'm 16 years deep into all of this
Hmm.
because I was doing a bunch of spiritual stuff before I started hypnosis. Um, and I've also, I take a lot of action based on what they ask me to do. Like I moved to Washington, not knowing anyone, not knowing why really that I was coming here, but I did it because they asked me to. So that's how much I will take it. And it was the best decision ever. It was terrible when I was doing it, but it has turned out to be the best decision ever. So I'm really glad that I did. And so when I
See,
was asking
you
them,
dive in and do that.
yeah,
You dive in and do that. If I was to get that, it would take some work on their end.
Aaron, we're still trying to get you to build a website. so they're probably observing you a little bit more. And let's also put it this way, giving you more support. Because again, 4 years is very different than 16 years. And when I first started as a client, a hypnosis client, I was 5 years, 5 years into being really spiritual. And they were with me a lot. There was a lot of support. There was a lot of guidance. Like I felt so connected. And there is this weird thing. I don't know if weird's the right word, but there is this thing that happens probably to most of us that if we are on the path, we're doing it long enough, and we're taking the action, that eventually, like any good parent, they start to take some steps back. And in the beginning, it feels like abandonment because you're like, wait a second, I used to be connected all the time. Where are they? Like they've asked me to do all this crazy stuff. I'm doing this. And this is the moment that they decide that they're going to go quiet, or like you can just barely hear like the faintest whisper of connection. Whereas before they used to be hugging you so much that you would cry tears of joy. Like, you know what I mean? And and so I asked them, I'm like, where are you guys? Like, I am doing all the stuff that you're asking. And this is like the hardest thing that I've had to do. And where are you? And they were like, we're doing the good parent thing. Any good parent goes, you have progressed enough that we're taking a step back. And I'm like, oh, thanks. Thanks for the vote of confidence. Thanks for the compliment. I'd really rather just have your support. But, and they were like, no, you really would rather not because you know that you're going to progress faster and further if you do this on your own. And we're only giving you all of this independence because we know that you can handle it. And I'm like, okay, fine. I believe you. But what's funny is when I was asking them about my Likert type scale, and I was like, where are you guys from a range of 1 to 10, 10 being like the most connected, supportive, 1 just being like out to lunch. I heard them whispering. Of course, they were whispering where I could hear them to be funny. And I heard them whispering, and they were like, should we tell her a 4? And then somebody goes, no, just tell her a 3. And then another one goes, because you can't handle that it's really a 2. And I was like, oh my God, you guys are the worst. So I love them. I love them. Anyway, but yeah, so apparently I am hanging out at a 2 where I'm just like, okay, fine. And here's the thing, even though it was terrifying in the beginning where I was like, so like feeling abandoned, where are you guys? At this point, I'm just very like, no, I trust myself. I trust myself. I don't feel like I need to check in with them all the time. I don't feel like I need to do all of this, like, oh, self-doubt. I got to check with them. Oh, I need more emotional support. I got to be with them. No, I'm just like, no, I'm just doing the thing. I'm just doing the thing. I'm doing the thing. And I'm doing the thing. And I'm doing the thing. And I feel like sometimes they're like, you could check in more. And I'm like, shouldn't have abandoned me. Maybe a little too independent. Oh, cats in the cradle, spirit realm. Okay. So, do you get that reference? It's a
Yes,
really good joke. Okay, good.
I got it.
All
I
right,
can't
good.
think of the artist, but
It's Cat. I think I'm saying it right.
Cat
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 Stevens.
Stevens.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
it's
yeah,
Cat
yeah.
Stevens.
Where like the son feels abandoned by his father, and then the father ages, and he's like, "Hey, son, come home." He's like, "I learned it from you, Dad." I'm like, "I learned it from you, Dad." So anyway, but yeah, I think they would like me to check in more, and I'm like, "Well, you made me really independent. Congratulations." But yeah, I
It's
should check in more.
now one thing related to this though.
Mhm.
We're talking about the soul. What about individual spirit guides as far as where that falls into place? Because I think
I
we look
find
at spirit guides a little bit differently.
I think of them as a collective team. I don't really think of my soul as like an individual, like being at this point. I don't know when or how the change was made, but I know when I was first originally introduced to my soul, I definitely thought of it as an individual being. And then eventually it felt like very collective. It felt like a team. And whenever they would come in, they would say we. And so I was like, oh, okay, like this is definitely something that is not just an individual. I do believe my soul is individually within that team. I think they've been together for so long that they're sort of operating as a unit. That's my understanding of it. So, yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to ask? I mean, like, I know what I'm saying is a little outside of the box, but we can ask. You might want to ask if your soul is
It's
part of a team.
well, the way I view it and what I got from it is that the soul is a collective, like you said, but it's on the other side. The soul is doing other things, so they're checking in with what's going on. But your spirit guides are certain spirit guides are always with you, in my opinion, no matter what.
Okay. You want to check?
Oh, I
And
don't have to check that.
okay, check if it's correct for every single person or if it's correct for you. You know what I mean? Two very different things.
Okay,
Oh, I got my answer.
I do too.
Yeah, they said it's for every single person. What did you get?
That is for everyone.
Okay, yeah, I got it. So, that's the other funny thing as far as like we make assumptions, or I do at least, and then I check and they're like, yeah, you're totally wrong, Courtney. That's one thing that I really want to drive home about hypnosis sessions. A lot of people get nervous that they're going to get things wrong, and I've been doing this for so long. And Aaron, I'd love to hear your take on this. I've been doing this for so long as a client and as a hypnotherapist that I don't ever feel any nerves on my behalf, on the client's behalf, that anybody is ever going to get it wrong. The reason for that is because I've seen it so many times that if we let our analytical mind start to assess what an answer is, if we do start to get it wrong, because we do, our analysis can be incorrect, they will stop us. They'll correct us. And so, yeah, we might get it wrong, but we barely get down the wrong path before they go like, hey, like, no, we actually meant something totally different. Aaron, do you have any experience with that where like maybe you started going in a certain direction with an understanding of something and they were like, no, it's like,
Uh,
why? Are you still there?
yes, I am.
Ghost in the machine. Are you still there? Oh my God.
Can you hear
Okay.
me?
Yes, but
But you can't see me.
no, I have a tab that just decided to take over. Okay, I can hear you. I cannot see you. Oh, I'm
What
gonna
does
hit
that
the
mean for
button.
this
I'm gonna hit the
discussion?
button. I don't know. And then another tab just tried to take over. Okay, I'm gonna hit cancel and see what happens. Okay. Weird. Okay, goes to the machine. Anyway, what were we talking about?
The when you're going wrong or misunderstanding,
Oh,
and
yeah. And they'll of course correct you, which is really funny because it just like opened up a different tab on my computer, which is weird. So,
but yes, I agree. They will course correct.
mhm.
Um, there's just specifically in doing readings. There's times when I've done readings and I started to tell someone something, and when I'm about to tell them, I have to go, no, that's not for them to know now.
Oh,
So
so you're getting it
that's a
right, but they want it to be private. That's where you're about to misstep, and so they'll stop you from saying the thing.
yeah, that's a perfect example right there because
Why
all
would
the
they tell
time
you?
people will do readings and
Mhm.
get all kinds of information, but it's not meant for the person to know.
Why? Why would? And is it your team telling you that, or is it their team telling you that?
It depends on the situation. A lot of times it's because either the person's not ready for it or it's something that they want the person to come to their own realization of.
Why would they tell you if the other person's not meant to know it? Like, is it actually information for you then? Like, they
I,
want you to get the point, but it's not really for them to get the point.
it's for perspective. Sometimes when you're doing a reading,
Mhm,
perspective for what you're dealing with.
mhm,
But in most cases, if you get something that's not to be shared,
mhm.
usually you know pretty quickly. And it's when you don't catch it that you go to start sharing something that they'll jump in and say, "Oh no, not for them."
That's really interesting. I have the opposite experience where I think that everything, not think, I know, I feel very confident about this, that everything that they've ever told me on behalf of the client, I am supposed to tell them. And to the point where I have resisted telling them something or asking them a certain question, and their teams have been aggressive with me. One of my favorite stories about this is I was working with a client who I adore, and he's had probably like a dozen sessions with me at this point, but this was his very first session. It was like years ago. This is in 2020, I think. And so he's having this first session, and man, some sessions, and I talk about this lovingly and openly with him. We joke about it a lot. So nothing I'm about to say is like going to surprise him if he's watching this. Um, Man, that first session was hard. Man, he made me work for that one where like he just like would not go into the session. And I knew he could connect and I was getting information on his behalf, but it was like driving with the emergency brake on, like just grinding it out. And so I don't even remember what was happening in the session in this moment. It was just, stalled pretty badly. And his team grabbed me like so hard right here on my left arm, and it hurt. Like it hurt. And I'm over here trying to, and again, I've been a hypnotherapist at this point for 6 years. It's really rare for me to have a session that is this difficult at this point because I've been doing it for so long that he's really, again, making me work hard. And I'm trying to help him. Meanwhile, this is happening. And I'm like, stop pestering me. I'm trying to help over here. And they would not let me go. And it was hurting. And so I was like, fine, okay, you guys are hurting me. Like, what is it? And they were like, it's just so silly sounding. And they were like, we need you to say to him, who is Orpheus? And I was like, oh my God, why? Like he is barely having a session. He's barely in. And you want me to, and I've just met him like an hour ago. And you want me to ask him this crazy sentence? Who is Orpheus? I'm like, I don't even know. What does that even mean? And so then I just say, and but they were hurting me. And I was like, I was like, fine, just stop hurting me and I'll say it to him. And so then they immediately released the pressure. And so I said to him, I was like, hey, like, I need to ask you this question because your team wants me to ask you this question. I didn't tell him yet about the pain because I didn't want to distract him. I told him later. He thought it was funny. And so I just said to him, I was like, they've asked me to ask you this. It's going to sound weird. And I'm just going to say it. And I said, just do with it what you will. And so then I said, who is Orpheus? And he goes, I am Orpheus. And then boom, he was in. And the session was just rocking and rolling from that point forward. And I was like, what the shit? Like, and I also thought like he's barely in. And if I ask him this insane sounding question, it's going to pull him even further out, but it didn't. It just dropped him right in where he needed to go. And what's funny is for his second session, I was like, oh yeah, we're going to be rocking and rolling from the get-go. No, he was a difficult client at the beginning of the second session. I was like, man, you're doing this to me again. But we eventually like got into the group. I was like, you guys got any weird questions? Because
Did you
that
have to do
apparently
the
helped
same
him.
question again?
No. And what was really cool about the Orpheus question is like his team, they were showing me these visuals. He was getting like so deep into it, accessing so much just from that very strange question. And if you guys look it up, Orpheus is a figure, not a very well known figure though, a figure in Greek mythology. And I love Greek mythology. I had never heard of this story before. He hadn't heard of the story either. And what's really interesting is that there is a snake that features heavily in this story. And he told me before we even had the session that like he will frequently see snakes, but it's more like he sees a stick on the ground, but his immediate reaction and perception is that it's a snake. Not that he's scared of it. He's just identifying it as a snake, but then it's actually a stick. So he's seeing snakes where there are not. And again, he's not afraid of them. So it's not like a phobia that is kicking in. It's just that he is perceiving it and then it's not. And so then I also ended up seeing like this very golden kind of like a staff. And then when we looked up, like, who is Orpheus? Like, who is this? Right. We Googled it. One of the main pictures is of him holding a golden staff. I'm like, oh, okay, interesting. And it's a beautiful story, actually. But so my tendency with clients is that I get information that I don't want to say. That in the past, I've gotten over that. At this point, I just freely say it because I've learned it is very helpful. Even the super weird stuff is very helpful. I remember one time really early into my career, I didn't want clients to need me. I wanted them to want to have sessions, but I really wanted them to learn how to do the hypnosis and not feel like they needed to rely on me. And so if I ever started to get information for them, I was really hesitant to share it because I thought like, oh, I don't want to create like a dependency in any way. And I remember this one woman, she was having a little bit of a tough time getting in. And then she said to me, she was like, are you getting anything? And I was like, yes. And she was like, why aren't you telling me that? And I was like, because I don't want you to need me. I want you to be able to access this on your own. And then she goes, I think you should tell me what you're getting. And I said, okay, but I want you to access this on your own. And she goes, it's my session. Tell me the information. I was like, you've made a fair point. So what was really interesting about that one is that she had some heartbreak about this gentleman that she had broken up with, and his soul came in and was connecting with me, and I was feeling his energy, and I was like, girl, I could feel him. I was like, do you want me to tell you like what he's saying? She was like, yes. And so I said to her, I was like, I was like, listen, can I just be honest with you? I don't like him. I don't like him. I don't think he has very good energy. And I said, and I'm going to have to say some stuff that I don't believe or think or feel. And he was saying like kind of like gross, like piggish things about another woman that he was dating now. And I was like, I don't like this. And I was like, just to be clear, I don't feel this way. I don't speak like this. I don't think like this, but this is what's coming through. And she goes, yeah, this is exactly how he is. This is how he thinks. This is how he talks. And I was like, why are you heartbroken? I'm like, you dodged a bullet. He's terrible. So I used to resist it a lot, but now I'm just like, no, like she was totally right. It's her session and she should get the support and the help and the teammate that she needs. And if her team is sending me something, then I should be available to share that with her. And nobody has become dependent on me either. So like that was an unfounded fear on my part. So we have 2.5 more minutes. We got through
two questions.
Well, at least we know what we'll be talking about next week. We got like 8 more questions to go. So, all right, Aaron, let him know how to work with you. Guys, he's phenomenal. He's really, really gifted. He doesn't have any of the hangups I used to have. He will just share things with you. So, Aaron, let him know how to work with you, please.
Thank you, Courtney. My IG is peace, the number 4 healers. My email is peace4healers@gmail.com. I do gifts and guide sessions. I do regular readings. I'm a medium. The odds are, if it's something that you need, I can do it. If I can't do it, I can get you to someone that can.
You'll probably do it too. I was looking at the comments. Did you say your email address?
Yes, it's peace, the number 4 healers@gmail.com.
Okay, and I was looking at the comments just to say, James, Steven, glad it was helpful. Appreciate you guys. If anybody ever has any questions that you guys want to type in live while we're having these discussions, we are happy to stop everything that we're doing and answer what you guys want to know. You guys are the whole reason that we're here. So just want to put that out there. Aaron and I will be doing this again on Monday. Liz and I will be back live on Friday. Make sure that you guys tune in live. I think we have 1 more week of doing this live, and then we're going to take a couple of weeks off. We'll take off Christmas week and the New Year's Eve week. If you guys want to become a Soul Empowering Hypnosis certified practitioner, go to CourtneyStarkey.com. You can also book your one-on-one sessions with me at CourtneyStarkey.com and join the group hypnosis membership that we were talking about earlier in today's meeting. Guys, this is cool. Aaron, love you. Super fun.
Love you
everybody. Too. Yeah. Thank you for tuning in. I know there's some happy souls watching right now. So everybody, and you can also email me, Courtney at CourtneyStarkey.com if you have questions that you want to send in advance. And
I love questions too.
Yes, obviously. You're very good at being interviewed as well. Okay, guys, see you in a week. All right. Bye, everybody.